Okay, so that's probably enough time to allow people to filter into the room. What I'm going to do is get stuck into the 3 to 4 minute PowerPoint. Then we'll look at a Unleashed integrated Prospect CRM system, explore what the product can do. We won't be able to cover every nook and cranny of the system today, as we'd probably be here till 6 p.m. tomorrow night. But I'll give you hopefully a pretty good overview. And if there are any questions or anything that arises, light bulb moments, please feel free to use the Q&A in the Zoom chat, and I will revert back to those at the end, make sure everything's answered. And hopefully we have a pretty productive meeting today. So yeah, let's kick off and get into things. And like I say, any questions, kind of don't hold back on those. Hit me with absolutely anything at all. So there is a very old photo of myself. I'm Tony Egan. I've worked at Prospect Soft for 6 years now, believe it or not, and worked with Unleashed customers for 6 years too. I sold the first Unleashed integrated system myself way back in 2018. So nice for anyone listening to know that we've worked with Unleashed for an awfully long time, and obviously share an awful lot of customers with Unleashed these days too, which is reassuring in itself, I suppose. In terms of what we do, all of our customers are selling products B2B. So we work in a very particular marketplace. Our customers will tend to sell services and some B2C sales. That is perfectly fine. But in some way, shape, or form, they all sell products B2B. So it's very much a specialized system. In terms of one of the many success stories we have, here's a company called Good Culture Kombucha, who we have a case study on our website, and a quote from their CEO, Dennis here. Since we started using Prospect CRM in the last 12 months, our sales have doubled. And that is not necessarily a unique scenario at all. Our customers do really grow in the first year of using the system. And I think once we get into this fake database today, you'll get a sense of how statistics like the one we're looking at here are a real possibility. And of course, hopefully for your business, that is the case too. In terms of how we compare in the market, and ultimately what we're doing a little bit differently to the rest of the CRMs out there, we'll keep this real top line and kind of just look at the industries which the other CRM products are selling to. So you have some, perhaps fairly well-known CRM products here. And essentially, we're looking at a breakdown of their customer bases, who they're selling to, who they're working with. And you'll notice the top three industries for all of these products are exactly the same. They all primarily work with software companies, information and tech services, and advertisement companies, which is no major coincidence or fluke. Those are the industries that are the most proactive in buying CRM. So it's a fairly obvious focus for most CRM products. We obviously position ourselves in a very different market. Everyone selling products, B2B. And we do really well in our market in terms of close rates and customer success. And ultimately, that's because our customers require very different functionality to what these businesses need. And again, we'll keep it very top line, but if you think about these industries very loosely, if you're a software company or an internet business, you're selling a subscription. So once you sell to your customers once, you never need to sell to them again. They will just pay you a monthly or annual fee. And again, a lot of these other industries, it's very much contract, one-time sale work. And therefore, none of these CRMs really look at repeat business and account management at all. But of course, that is a massive part of what our customers do: repeat selling, repeat business, and customer retention is often on the forefront of the business agenda. So our system will really look after that and assist businesses in keeping those areas at a really strong level. And of course, I'll elaborate and explain how the system can help you with that later today, once we jump into the system. There's a few of our reviews in various app marketplaces, and of course, we do okay, to say the least. And I suppose to kind of summarize what I was mentioning previously in a formula, most CRMs will promise you more customers, and so do we. But what we're doing differently to the rest is we are looking to maximize your customer lifetime value. So we want to ensure that you're getting the most out of every single customer for as long as you possibly can. And of course, if you're always doing both of those things, theoretically, you'll achieve a good level of sales growth and business growth, which is, always the aim to a degree. Excuse my frantic clicking on the PowerPoint. But to break that formula down in, kind of the sales cycle, I suppose, getting more customers is, of course, going to be about attracting them, working on a lead, perhaps, selling to those customers, closing a deal, and getting your first order. And some of you might be using a CRM at the moment. Some of you may not be. But what you'll find with CRMs is once you've got the first order off a customer, they're not really going to do a whole lot for you after that in terms of really helping you sell to those accounts. They'll look after a bit of communication and notes and reports, of course, but nothing groundbreaking. We will really look to drive sales beyond your first order. So we want to ensure that you're onboarding your customers and you become an integral part of their processes as a supplier in many cases, and then maximize their customer lifetime value, which logically is just about maximizing order frequency, increasing order value as much as we can, and of course, ensuring that we retain all of our customers too. But in terms of how you can do all seven of those things in Prospect, we hopefully make it pretty straightforward as we have our growth playbook here, which is almost a plan of action of how you could use Prospect to grow your business. And we kind of break it down into these different stages of the sales cycles. But to quickly explain what we're looking at here, these mint color tiles in the middle are essentially different things that you can do in the system using all of the features available to you. And all of this is kind of a plan of action to use the system to really drive growth of your business. And our onboarding team will work with new customers to kind of get them up to speed and really achieve, a good level of growth alongside this. And to sort of put it into practice, if you're a business looking to improve your customer retention performance, then these features are really going to help you do that. If you're a business looking to increase how often your customers are buying from you, then these tools will be a big win, and so on and so forth. And hopefully we can piece all of this together and really drive growth. And to put some statistics behind that conversation and really reinforce that point, all of the businesses that adopted Prospects in 2022 saw their turnover on average increase by 34% in 2023, which is, of course, testament to the system itself. I think those sort of results are very much a fact that we are working with a very particular type of business. So we have a real focus on the system achieving for a certain type of business model, which Unleashed users all fit the bill of for the most part. And it is also, a nice testament to our onboarding team who essentially are tasked with getting all of our new customers up to speed and successful with the system in the, opening month or two of using it. We also have a growth playbook scorecard on our website, which you can fill out and kind of we can then align with you on what your business goals are and use that growth playbook as a reference point to ensure that we can help you achieve those goals. And the final slide from me before I jump into the system, I believe, is the RFM analysis, which is a pretty powerful tool that our customers use to ensure they attain a good level of customer retention and to ensure their customers are ordering as frequently as they possibly could. And I'll give you a little bit of context around RFM before we explore the model in the system. So RFM is not something that we just imagined up ourselves, but it's an analytical tool used in repeat business and repeat selling. I studied it super loosely in my business degree. We've just brought it to the modern world and the software world because all of our customers do repeat business and repeat selling. And what RFM stands for is recency, frequency, and monetary value. So Looking at how recently your customers have bought, how frequently they're buying from you, and the money they're spending per order. Your customers are placed into these 11 different segments. Champions, loyals, right the way down to customers who you can't lose, are hibernating, or perhaps you might have even lost. And a lot of businesses, before a system like Prospect, a sales team, a sales manager, you're almost relying on that light bulb moment of, I've not spoke to Joe Bloggs in a couple of weeks. I should probably give him a call. And doing that when you're managing 50, 100 plus customers off the top of your head is near impossible to do perfectly. So this model is going to identify customers that are slowing down their buying with you, so you have a little bit more of a sense of a direction. As, for example, your at-risk customers spent big money, purchased often from you, but haven't purchased in a long time. So that's obviously a group of customers that we'd like to be aware of, so we can then be proactive ourselves to maintain that customer, and give them a bit more love, I suppose, for want of a better phrase. In terms of what's integrated between Prospect and Unleashed, an awful lot, truth be told. And I think that the top line summary from me, having worked with Unleashed customers for 6 years, would be everything you could possibly want and need integrated from Unleashed and Prospect is there. So all of your customers, all of your sales, your products, your warehouses, your specific price lists by customer, tax, warehouse, invoice, it all comes through. And there's an awful lot of open and unleashed links in our system as well. So you can kind of toggle between the two systems super easily. And now we will jump into the demo. There's enough PowerPoint for today. So here is a Prospect CRM dashboard. And I'll give you a little bit of context before I kind of explain what we're looking at here. So you'll notice I'm in a system, a fake system, a hypothetical system, of course, called That's My Jam, which is the brilliant name of a jam company that hypothetically sells jam to bakeries, restaurants, hotels, stores, you name it. But essentially, they're a business selling products to businesses. And this is their hypothetical system. Now, we've got quite a bit of information we can take in here. And for what it's worth, if you were to take out a Unleashed integrated Prospect CRM trial, all your information flows through from Unleashed right away, and this dashboard is populated and is live. So it's not a case that you have to use Prospect for a while to build up the history and build up the data. It comes through from Unleashed, and you get this level of insight from the word go. And to kind of explain what we're looking at here on the dashboard, you'll see how much you brought in this month versus last month. You see where your customers are within the RFM model, which your customers should have ordered by now, which our missing order report tells you. All your customers growing in spend versus declining in spend. And even all your customers you haven't spoke to in a month, or 2 weeks, or 6 weeks, or however often you expect or would like to ensure that you're communicating with your customers. So kind of all of those reports in their own right, especially when you put them together, really give a sales team, a salesperson, an account manager a real good sense of direction of who they need to prioritize their time with. And you kind of no longer rely on that light bulb moment of, I need to give Joe Bloggs a call. Not heard from him for a while. And if you guys have account managers, people responsible for particular accounts, we actually bring all of those through from Unleashed too. So those account managers, in theory, could select their name in the top right-hand corner, like we go to Stuart McLaren here. The dashboard now compromised, so we are only looking at Stuart's account. So, the numbers in the RFM model change. Stuart only brought in £45 last month, sadly. And you can see Stuart's got 5 customers in total down here. So again, you can also kind of have a bit more of a tunnel vision approach where you are just honing in on your own accounts. A little bit of a asterisk point for myself. With this being a fake database, the data is a little bit wild from time to time. And obviously your data wouldn't be the case should we get you on a Prospect CRM trial. But to quickly jump into the at-risk customer segment and kind of prove the point around the RFM model, you'll notice here we've got customers who have placed anywhere between 27 orders in total with us and 147 orders in total with us. But no one's ordered for at least a year or so, as you can see when their most recent order was. And then, of course, you do a little bit of inspecting and you'll notice, 147 orders in the space of roughly 2 years here. And now they haven't ordered in 18 months. It makes sense as to why they're at risk. And likewise for the two other accounts in this list. If we then decide to look at one of our champion customers, these accounts have placed anywhere between 476 orders and 174 orders in total. But everyone's ordered in the last month. So again, some real obvious and clear logic as to why accounts are sitting in certain areas of the system. And we've got Mary Berry Limited, great company name again, up here, who is, the champion by the looks of it. And what I should probably contextualize around the RFM model too is, of course, there is no one size fits all model for RFM. Some of our customers will sell on average every 2 days if they sold frozen food, for example. And some of our customers in the construction industry space might sell once a year. So the RFM model for those two companies will be completely different. It compares your customers to your customers, and that is how your customers arrive into these different segments based on their buying patterns. But let's go ahead and dive into one of our champions here. I'll go into Bill's Kitchen. And take a look at some of the data coming through from Unleashed. So they've spent 65.6K in the last 365 days, which is a 154% increase on the 25.9K they spent in the year prior to the most recent, which is great. Andrew, the account manager, is obviously doing a pretty good job with that. However, in their most recent financial year, they spent 6.8K. In the year prior to that, in the same time frame from start of financial year to the date that you're on now, they spent 14.8K. So that is in a slight decline. So we kind of give you that view. And of course, you can set your financial year in our system at the click of a button, really. Just let us know what month it starts and you can set that yourself. We do have Google Maps integration. If you're ever in and around Brighton and want to pay Bill's Kitchen a visit. And you'll also see, certain fields like their Unleashed customer type comes through here. But we actually have plenty of fields you could use to categorize your customers, into like subcategories, if you will. And some of the fields in our system you will like, and some of them you won't fancy. So what you can do is go ahead and customize the system, delete fields, change the name of fields. You kind of have free reign over that. And the main reasons you'd probably customize the system is for reporting or marketing reasons. So if you're trying to create a marketing segment for an email campaign, custom fields is a good route to go down, gives you a lot of flexibility in that space. Likewise, if you're looking to report on a certain subgroup of customers, then again, a custom field will look after that for you quite nicely. All of the addresses will come through from Unleashed, as you can see here. That's really important because you can actually create orders in our system and push them through to Unleashed. And we'll explore how we do that together in not too long. Likewise, all of the contacts come through from Unleashed, like Billy, Max, Amber, etc. So if you need to communicate with any person at Bill's Kitchen or one of the customers, potential customers of yours, you can do that in our system. And again, we'll explore how we do that in not too long. We'll get to some of these other pages quite soon, but we would actually present to you an orders page in the system. I'm going onto the quote screen because it is somewhat similar, but you'd be able to see all the order numbers coming through from Unleashed. You'd have an open in Unleashed link to take you to that order, and you could dive into every single order and explore exactly what the customer's buying. I should also mention that this sales ledger page will change in, say, Unleashed. And again, in that Unleashed screen, you'll be able to see the customer type, the credit limit, if you work off credit limits for some accounts, what their default warehouse is, their tax code, and their payment terms with you. It all comes through. We then have the sales transaction screen, which shows you the most recent product lines that this customer has purchased. So, the various product SKUs, they of course come through as well from Unleashed. And you can see things like the margin you're making per line in value and percentage terms. You can hide that and switch that off for certain users as well, very easily, in case any of that data is sensitive to your business. And of course, you can see when the order date was, the transaction date, and there is that open and unleashed link on every single line I alluded to a moment ago. The order numbers are there. And again, you could search for order numbers in our system too. You then have the sales analysis screen, which shows you the fluctuations in their spend month on month. Now, going back to what I said a few moments ago about some of the data being quite crazy, a little bit wild. Here is a credit note, it seems, in November 22 for 30K. Can't have been a nice credit note to process that one. But your graph will probably look something a little bit more like this. And this is basically a breakdown of their spend by the month. Quite literally. And you can kind of get a sense for the direction the customer's moving in. You can also expand that out and see what they're spending by the month here. No problem at all. Over here, you've got every single order, the date and value attached to that order. Again, just so you can kind of glance at these two reports and get a sense for the direction a customer might be moving in. And I would say this customer is moving in a fairly positive direction because their overall spend trend is on the up. And likewise, over here, it seems like they're placing slightly larger orders with us in 2024 than what they were in 2023, which can't be a bad thing, really. In terms of where their money goes, we break it down by product SKU as well. So this particular customer, 51% of their spend, or just over 38K in value, has been on the strawberry jam, followed by the appetizing apricot, 16% of their spend, or just over 12K. You can expand that out again and kind of see a complete breakdown of their spend by the product SKU. So on the strawberry jam, they spent 38.6K. They've ordered over 10,000 units of the product, and that is across 167 orders. And you can search for products in our system, like you can search for contacts, orders, businesses. But instead of searching for a product, I'm just going to dive into the product via this link. And the product images will come through from Unleashed. So does the category. Again, there's an open in Unleashed link on the product too. We also house some pretty basic product information that is really useful. So the list price, the cost price of the products, of course, is important. For the sake of processing orders again, we have 8,500 in stock. We can also see our buildable quantity and our total available. The buildable quantity is essentially a number derived from the bills of materials for the strawberry jam in Unleashed. So if we put some of our bills of materials together, we could essentially build 6.3K units of the strawberry jam. And of course, if you add these two numbers together, that's how you get your total available. We'll also even bring through purchase order information. So we're going to get a shipment or a delivery of this product today. We also house some pretty basic sales data on a product as well. So we've sold this item on 445 orders, making 89.8K units sold. And the strawberry jam has made us a whopping 421K. Who doesn't love strawberry jam, I suppose? And by the looks of it, Bill's Kitchen really loves it. Jumping into the sales analysis now, you've got the fluctuations in their spend by customer first, so who the top buyers are. And then also we've got the peaks and troughs that a product goes through in its product life cycle with your business. So you'll also be able to see how well a product does on a month by month basis. And what I should probably say with all of these reports, you can add fields and filters yourself, but out of the box, this is the data that you're given. And adding a field and a filter can take you a minute or two. It's not a back-end development job by any stretch of the imagination. It is a intuitive add of a field yourself. And the premise of running through all of that is first of all to really establish the integration going on with Unleashed and kind of proving the point that we mentioned in the PowerPoint slide there, that all your products, your customers, your contacts, your addresses, stock levels, it all comes through from Unleashed. And of course, that data is always live. We've obviously touched on the RFM model as well, and what I would say to anyone kind of considering taking a trial, I'd really encourage you to do it naturally. Because when I do these demonstrations, there's so much value in Unleashed users' RFM model. You'll always be quite surprised by a group of the customers sitting at risk and they need attention. And there's always an awful lot of value in the system for people right from the point of doing that demo. And I'll explain how we can do that for your business a little bit later on. But to quickly, digress back to the dashboard, there's a couple more reports I quickly want to touch on. So our system will show you straight away where all your customers that are spending more in the last 365 days compared to the previous. Obviously, this is always nice to see. Nice for the ego, I suppose. And obviously, in the case of this account, so some customers that are really spiking in spend, which is good. And then, likewise, whenever I do these live demonstrations and performances to businesses, you can also see your customers that are declining in spend, which is perhaps a lot of the time where some of the lower hanging fruit is. This is obviously a hypothetical company, but we have 16 customers that are declining in spend here. And if we can even get, 8 to 12 of these customers back spending what they were before, it would be a very fruitful exercise for us. And it's always just good to have that peace of mind that hopefully your customers are moving in the right direction. And the final report I'm going to touch on in terms of the dashboard is the missing orders report, which, truth be told, is a bit of a showstopper for a lot of our customers, and people do get quite excited by this, or as excited as you're going to get over a CRM system anyway. And hopefully it's not too excited, but you'll kind of see why that is right away. So this report is telling us all our customers who should have ordered by now. And our business here, we've got 9 customers that should have ordered by now. And if we're able to get the average order size of each of these customers just once each, so one average order from the 9 of our customers who should have bought by now, we'd make 12.4K in revenue. And I'll quickly explain how the report is working. The report uses AI to generate these numbers, but in terms of actually understanding the report, it couldn't be more simple, which is all our users really need to worry about. So we've got the Great British Bake Off kitchen here, who were ordering from us every 6 days on average. But it's really strange for them not to buy in 28 days. And now they haven't ordered in 54. We can also see that their average order size is just shy of 3K. So the system is establishing the average days between orders for your customers. And whenever a customer breaks their regular buying habit with you, even by a day, they appear in this report, which I suppose is almost a task list in essence. Let's get in touch with these customers and and try to make sure they're okay, they're not working with anybody else, and hopefully get some orders right off the back of this. And if we go into the Great British Bake Off kitchen here, we will be told that the customer should have ordered by now. And if we click on the details here, it will take us to their sales analysis screen, and we'll be able to see pretty quickly if we expand this report open. You know, they ordered a couple months ago, but back in 2023, they ordered from us a really good number of times, actually. So if we look at all the 2023 orders here, there's kind of at least 15 orders, maybe. If you know, look at February onwards, I suppose. So this customer was buying from us super regularly, and they've clearly, you know, fallen off a cliff, for want of a better phrase. So that is kind of the magic of the missing orders report. It just gives you and your team and your account managers perhaps a list of their customers that are slowing down their buying with us. And for what it's worth, 12 grand in missing orders is actually probably quite a low number compared to the live demonstrations I'm doing with people on a daily basis, jumping into their accounts and seeing how many of their customers should have ordered by now. It's actually so common to see numbers north of 50K in reports like this. Hopefully your business isn't quite in that position, but it kind of just goes to show all of the opportunity that Prospect offers, and that kind of instant return on investment. What we will do now is we'll jump into a contact record, we'll do a tiny bit of communication, and then we'll go ahead and create an order and push it through to Unleashed and kind of show you that workflow. In terms of going to a contact, you can just search for somebody's name, and I will search for Michelle Jury. And Michelle is a lady who works at a company called Browns of Ipswich. So let's dive into Michelle's record. Now, Michelle and Browns of Ipswich are a customer of ours, which is why they've got a little green color here. But you can color coordinate it as you please. So we know we're on Michelle's record here, and if we come down here and just have a bit of a look, we can see I actually have a task due 8 days ago with Michelle, as I'm the support user. But perhaps your name would appear here. So, you know, I've got a task due 8 days ago, and if I kind of just look to remind myself, it seems like I was working on a quote 8 days ago. I actually sent a quote, and my task was to call Michelle tomorrow. So apologies, boss. It looks like I let that one slip. But of course, this is a dummy database, which is, you know, why the task is overdue in this scenario. And what we could do when we come across this record and we kind of get a sense and a picture of what's going on with Michelle and the company Browns is we could write some notes against the record and post them, or we could actually assign a task. And let's go ahead and do the latter. So to assign a task, we could assign our task for ourselves in the future, perhaps, or maybe even one of our colleagues. We have lots of colleagues in here, it seems. But I will set myself a task for today. I'll leave it on for today, but I could obviously select any time I like. And what I'm going to say to myself is go ahead and send Michelle our intro email. And I'll set myself that task for today just by hitting save. And then a few things are going to happen ultimately. So, first of all, everyone can now see Tony's going to work on this today. Likewise, everyone can see that Tony has set himself a task for today. They can see when I did that and what I'm going to be getting up to. That task is also now in my task list. So I've got that one task from today. Sadly, I have 160 overdue, allegedly. I'm sure none of you guys or your staff will get into this position. And we also have 2 tasks for the future. But we'll break down all of your kind of tasks in the system in your taskbar here. It's also worth mentioning, if you send a task to a colleague, they will be notified via email as well. So my colleague Jess, for instance, could get an email saying, "Hi Jess, Tony assigned you a task in relation to Michelle. Here's what Tony has asked you to do, and here's a link to that record." So it's quite nice to collaborate with your team in that way as well. So in theory, you log into the system on any given day. You can go to your task in the top right-hand corner and you can go ahead and get stuck in. So to go to Michelle's task, we'll come down here and we can see, right, we need to send Michelle the intro email. So to do that, I'll just select Michelle's email on the right-hand side, select the intro email, and I will press send. Takes me 5 seconds. We actually go ahead and configure all the email templates you'd like us to in the beginning during our onboarding process, which is included with the price of the system. But I'll quickly explain the email templates to give you a bit of context about what we can do with them. So you can see the customer's name comes through. You don't have to include the surname. Most people just say, hi, customer first name. Her business name has come through, Michelle's business name there. And also my company name has come through. And in this scenario, it would usually say, that's my Jan. We can even create email templates with attachments pre-attached to them. So if you would always send out a product catalog or price list in some sort of PDF document, we could have that pre-attached to the template as a PDF. So you're not attaching it each time. Again, just looking to make life easier and more efficient ultimately. But in theory, you wouldn't get the explanation of me every time you click on the intro email. You would just press send. It takes you 2 seconds, and that email will be sent. The email will land in the sent items of your Outlook or your Gmail or whatever you're using, and the email also lands in the activity log. So everyone in theory could see that Tony was going to send the intro email, and then he went ahead and did that. We also actually track emails as they're sent from the system. So if anyone opens the email or clicks on a link in the email, you'd see all of that here too, including the time they opened it even. But maybe don't stalk them too much. Once you've done a bit of communication and task management, you might be ready to get into the process of sending a quote or a sales order to somebody and ultimately pushing that through to Unleashed. Now, I'm going to go to another gent in the system called Keith. And Keith works at Purple Trading. Now, where I said Michelle was a customer a few moments ago, Keith is a potential customer. And the reason I'm deciding to create an order/quote in relation to Keith is just because I can show you a tiny bit more Unleashed integration by doing it this way. But of course, you can create quotes and orders for your customers like you can with potential customers. Now, with your potential customers, it is also worth pointing out they will live in Prospect CRM and not live in Unleashed. They'll only go through to Unleashed at the point in which they buy. And we'll explore that together now. So I'm under Keith here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a sales order or a quote. Sorry to explain the obvious. I always do this. But if you've agreed a sales order over the phone, via email, in person, just go for the sales order screen and push it on through. If you need to send a quote, which the customer's then going to approve or decline, then go for the quote screen, of course. Now, truth be told, both of the screens are very similar. So I'm actually going to open up the quote screen and explain both a sales order and a quote all from the one record. Kill two birds with one stone, if you will. In terms of creating this quote, I'm going to go ahead and call it a June stock order and keep it quite generic. Can't believe we're in June already, but here we are. You could add a salesperson to this quote. We will give it to Andy. And all of your price lists will come through from Unleashed as well. So if you've got a customer on a 10% off price list, that will come through. Our system will respect it, of course. But even if you have potential customers in our system who therefore aren't in Unleashed yet and have never existed in Unleashed, you can put them on one of your Unleashed price tiers for the sake of a quote or for the sake of an order. If you do any special pricing yourselves. I'm going to go for the wholesale price list. We can also decide we want to take the stock from our Bristol warehouse. All your warehouses will come through from Unleashed too. But let's go ahead and start building this order together. In terms of adding products to this order, what will come up first actually is the top five most popular products for that customer. So their five favorite products will come up first. And here you can see the price of the item, as of the wholesale price list, which we selected, and the amount we've got in stock. So let's go for some of that strawberry jam we looked at earlier. If you don't want to add products from the top five, of course, you can open up and you can search for products. So you can search for them by their name, by their SKU. So if we search for brown, we see the chocolate brownie here. And I'm going to add 20 of those because you can never have enough chocolate brownies. If you don't want to search by the name or the SKU, you can go for the category. So we'll also bring through your Unleashed categories as well, which is quite a nice feature. I know Unleashed doesn't offer this, so you can search via the category too. If you would prefer not to search, you can look at recent purchases. That will literally show you the customer's recent orders, including the order date and the recent price that they paid, in case they kind of just want to know what they got last time. But the final screen you can come to in terms of adding products to the order is the popular screen, which again is their top products, top to bottom. So there's a few screens you can come to ultimately. There's a few ways to skin a cat, for want of a better phrase. I think all of the screens have their use cases, and truth be told, when you're using the system, you'll probably stumble across your favorite and kind of stick with it. We just give you the options. In terms of the order itself, I could be happy with this. Naturally, I can change the price and add a discount, but if we're happy with the order as it is and we want to push it through to Unleashed, we would just press confirm and it would go into their Unleashed account as an order. If they've never ordered from you before because they're a potential customer, you can create the account in Unleashed and process their first sale all in one go. So that's a really seamless process. You create the account in Unleashed, process their first order, and you don't have to double enter data anywhere. It's all just, seamless and obviously tightly integrated. In terms of sending a quote to the customer, that's kind of the sales order side of things boxed off. We can send a quote to the customer just by selecting their email on the right-hand side. And that's actually my email. But in theory, it's Keith's email. And what we can do is go ahead and select our PDF quote. So we select our template, press send. Again, sending a quote is going to take me 5 seconds. As the quote is already attached there as a PDF, ready to go. You don't need to amend it. You don't need to change it. In real time, like I say, you're pressing send and you're moving on to the next part of your day. Whether that's making a phone call or making a coffee, that's down to you. But because we're on a webinar here, I'm actually going to download the quote document to give you all kind of a flavor of what we can do with it. And here is the quote document in theory. Now, again, a part of the onboarding process, which is included within the price of the system, we'll actually design this document to look however you would like it to. If you've got a quote document already that you're super happy with, just send it to us and we can get it integrated to the system. But in terms of the functionality and what we can do with it, obviously the details from the system come through. So it's taking Keith's name, his business name, today's date and the expiration date of the quote, as well as the quote number. There's the amazing That's My Jam logo in the corner. Here's the order that we built in theory. Now, this quote table does look quite shoddy, truth be told. And that's because some products have images and some don't. But you don't need to include product images in the quote table if you prefer not to. Likewise, there is a file attached to one of them, so that's a pretty abnormal column to see. But ultimately, any data that you want to drag from the system, like the SKU, the description, the quantity, and the price are the most common, you can have this quote document and table ultimately looking however you'd like it to look. What is very cool about our quotes, though, is the customer can't just approve it themselves. So the customer can press approve on the quote. They come to your order portal and your business logo appears here. This all kind of becomes your colorway. And then the customer can input a PO and approve it. And if that was to happen, the salesperson, let's say it's myself, would get an email saying, "Hi, Tony, Keith Gooding at Purple Trading has confirmed order 1791, and we've pushed it through to Unleashed for you." I can stick my feet up and have a cup of tea and maybe a biscuit because the order's just going to flow straight through to Unleashed. You will get some customers who don't press approve and decide to give you a phone call and say they're happy with the quote, in which case you can just come back to the order and press confirm yourself. So it's a really seamless process. And for what it's worth, receiving those emails saying orders have been confirmed, they're nice emails to receive. Take a little bit of work off your hands too in the process. In terms of the standard demonstration, that would probably be it from myself. It probably goes without saying, and something that I mentioned earlier, but I will repeat for anyone that joined late. I have certainly not covered every nook and cranny of the system. We would be here for a couple of days if I was to do that, and no one wants to listen to me for a couple of days. So, if you are looking to see more about the system or you'd like to get in touch, please don't hesitate to do so. If you kind of have some initial questions that you just want to run by us, go ahead and get in touch with myself by all means. There's my email there, tony.egan@theaccessgroup.com. But if you think you are ready to jump on a free trial and a demo, I'm going to take you through kind of the steps that we can go through to get you guys on a trial and get you on a demo like the one we've done today, with a chance to have a little bit more one-on-one conversation. And obviously we'll explore everything we looked at in relation to your customers and your data, which is always a little bit more exciting than looking at what the Great British Bake Off Kitchen are doing and Mary Berry and co. So we'll dive back into the PowerPoint before I let you guys get on with your afternoon stroke evening. So in terms of taking your Prospect CRM free trial, if you go to our website, which you can see along the bottom of your screen there, www.prospectsoft.com, you'll see straight away that you can take a free trial. You'll just have to fill out some really basic questions like your email address, your business name, what system you're using at the moment, which is probably Unleashed for most of you on the call today. And then you'll have a free trial, and someone like myself will get in touch and say, let's book a meeting for a demo. And of course, we can schedule an initial phone call or have a bit of back and forth before jumping on a meeting more personally. And that's probably your best way to get in touch, regardless. Just sign up for a trial, and then we can certainly tee up some level of communication. You can actually also take a free trial within Unleashed, which I think, again, really shows the relationship we have with Unleashed. You can take a free trial from there. You'll have a trial created, and again, we can kind of get that ball rolling. And anyone that is considering a trial of our Unleashed integrated Prospect CRM, your timing couldn't be better, really, as we're offering 20% off Prospect CRM for every subscription that happens in June 2024. To be a little bit more precise, it ends the 28th of June 2024. So plenty of time to take out a 14-day trial, jump on a call with ourselves, let us answer your questions in terms of your particular business requirements. And I would advise moving on that quite quickly, because if we have any slight delays on your side, it still gives you a really good chance to attain the offer. And also, fortunately, but sometimes unfortunately, my team's calendar are filling so quickly. So kind of booking slots to have more, personable conversations isn't as easy as you might think, and as I'd like it to be sometimes. So yeah, just go ahead and get moving, and we can tee up a conversation at your earliest convenience. In terms of the Q&A, I'm not too sure if we've had anything roll through in terms of the questions. It doesn't look like it. But I'll hang on here for a minute perhaps and kind of wait to see if anything does prop up. If not, and you don't have any questions though, you are more than welcome to kick on and enjoy the rest of your Thursday afternoon. Okay. It looks like we're all good. So thanks so much for your time, everybody, for joining. It's been a pleasure. And if you're watching this on a recording, please don't send in any questions because your questions won't count and you may still be charged. But no, your best bet is certainly to sign up for a trial. And hopefully we chat very soon and you got a chance to attain that June 2024 offer. But thanks everyone for your time and have a great rest of your day.